So the Bad Batch has given us another great look at Bracca, a junkyard world which we've seen before in Jedi Fallen Order. So I figured this gave me a great opportunity to discuss junkyard planets. And today we'll take a look at some of the junkyard planets we see in both Legends and Canon. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So Bracca, which we've seen before in Jedi Fallen Order, has reappeared in the Bad Batch. And it has brought junkyard worlds sort of back to the forefront for a little bit and given a great opportunity to discuss them. So I figured today we'll talk about some of the junkyard worlds we see in Canon and some of the ones we see in Legends. So let's start out with the one that comes to mind immediately when I think of junkyard worlds from Legends. And that is Raxus Prime. Raxus Prime is a junkyard planet located in the Raxus system, and appears to be one of the oldest and most storied junkyards in galactic history. There, it wouldn't be uncommon to see vessels from way back in the Old Republic, right alongside vessels that have just recently been decommissioned. Raxus is notable for a few key events. During the early days of the Clone Wars, it was the site of a battle. Separatist forces fleeing the Battle of Geonosis made their way to Raxus, where they set up shop. They then began excavating some key parts for the Dark Reaper program, and they were eventually forced off the planet by a Republic assault. Later, during the days of the Empire, the planet was visited by Starkiller, who was sent there in search of a Jedi Master who had survived Order 66. After dispatching this Jedi Master, the Empire rolled in and began converting Raxus into a large repurposing plant, basically to convert this junk into usable material for the construction of new ships. Later, Starkiller returned to Raxus to liberate the planet from Imperial control, an act that would ultimately end in bringing down an Imperial-class Star Destroyer with the Force. That's Raxus' legend story. In canon, we know it exists, but we don't know much past that. But there are a few that we can talk about specifically from canon. Let's start with Lortho Minor. Lortho Minor is a junkyard planet that we see featured in the Clone Wars. Those of you who might not remember, it's only said by name once or twice, but this is the planet that Darth Maul is found hiding on. Another planet that comes to mind as sort of a junkyard world is Carthon. Carthon is a world within the boundaries of the New Republic that's utilized as sort of a penal colony. Actually, it's more of a labor camp. Prisoners of the New Republic, mostly old Imperial loyalists, are sent there to dismantle old Imperial military hardware. We see this during The Mandalorian. It's where Mayfeld is sent after he's captured, and it's basically what it sounds like: old Imperial officers and loyalists dismantling old TIE fighters and Star Destroyers. And this brings us full circle back to Bracca, which we saw for the first time in Jedi Fallen Order. Bracca appears to be one of the major shipyards that the Empire sent old Venator-Class Star Destroyers to, and it sounds like they actually played a pretty significant role in dismantling the ships of the Clone Wars. We see during Jedi Fallen Order that the surface of the planet is littered with old Venator-Class Star Destroyers that are being dismantled. And it's mentioned during Jedi Fallen Order that these Separatist ships are a rarity, which implies that they have already been dismantled. So it seems like these junkyard planets, particularly planets like Bracca, have been pretty busy since the end of the Clone Wars, ultimately being tasked with scrapping the massive fleets of both the Republic and the Separatists to make way for the massive Imperial Navy to dominate the galaxy. We know in particular that Bracca is sort of under the de facto control of the Scrappers Guild, which is the company we see managing the dismantling of the vessels dropped there. But it's notable that when we see it during the Bad Batch, it does appear to be a lot quieter and less busy than what we see in Jedi Fallen Order. And this would make sense. In the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars, the Empire is still using Venator-Class Star Destroyers. They don't have a new fleet of Imperial-Class Star Destroyers ready to come in and take over right away. It's going to take time for the Empire to build up a massive new fleet, so they have not really begun retiring a lot of their old Clone Wars vessels. And even the Separatist vessels that have been left abandoned in space will take some time to sort of be collected and sent to scrapyards. So it makes sense that these are some of the quieter days for these shipyards, and that basically all we see of the Scrappers Guild in the episode is a few scouts. But once the Empire really starts rolling out Imperial-class Star Destroyers, the Venators will start being replaced, and when these Venators are replaced, they will be sent to scrapyards like what we see on Bracca. But Bracca plays a huge role in the dismantling of Clone Wars-era equipment, which was very prolific immediately following the end of the war. Both the Republic and the Separatists had massive navies, and if you want to learn about what happened to the Republic Navy immediately following the war, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments what you think of Bracca appearing in the Bad Batch. Do you think it was a nice touch, or would you have preferred they go somewhere else to have their chips removed? And if you have anything from Star Wars you want me to cover in a future video, leave that down in the comments. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.